Hello, everyone. This session should be relatively short, but for like a blog post, I want to dive into GitLab Duo code suggestions using multi-line code generation prompts in the form of code comments. And I'm in my Visual Studio Code. There's the source code directory already available. There's a little README, what to do. I have a Kubernetes cluster running. And the idea really is to create a small CLI tool that is capable of monitoring or like observing a Kubernetes cluster. And the challenge is to show how to use GitLab Duo. I've been practicing this for quite a while now, but it's still generative AI is not predictable. So if you're reading the blog post now, the results might look a little different. The thing I also want to show you is some specific activities or not activity shortcuts, which you can use to get better code suggestions. So in the beginning, let's, for example, cheat a little bit and navigate into the main.go. Okay, I already have everything in there, but we can simply start with code suggestions. And you recognize I'm pressing certain keystrokes here. So let me quickly toggle the screencast mode so you can see backspace, enter for new line, which then triggers the code suggestions prompt. And in this example, I can then decide using the tab key to accept code suggestions, or for example, also go with accept word, which is command cursor to the right. Oh, actually, I pressed something else. Let's continue. And get another suggestion. Let's maybe accept that. What does it do? It creates something specific to Kubernetes and tries to print the pod items. I mean, this is all great, but we're not there yet. So we haven't provided enough context for GitLab Duo code generation, because essentially I also want to, and probably it makes sense to quickly disable that for a moment. I would not only want to generate that, but I will also need to provide some context what is needed. So we want to create a function that reads or like reads the Kubernetes configuration file from the kubeconfig and where. So this is something we want to do. We want to inspect container pod service status specifically and print an overview. Let's see if we can do that. In order to do that, we need to import necessary packages and also tell GitLab Duo that we want to create a main package, which can be helpful because now you can see again enabling the keystrokes. We should be getting code suggestions, and in this example we can see we didn't get any. So over here nothing happened, over here nothing happened. So what I can do now is like press backspace again and go back into the scope of writing a code comment to trigger code generation with the intent. And we can see there's a little more going on now because we refined the prompt. And I will just press tab to accept that just for now, so we can review that in a little bit. We can see that certain things get imported, also using the Go client library from Kubernetes. It's using kubeconfig. Okay, that's great. It creates the Kubernetes client from the configuration, gets the pods, and also gets the services. This is something which didn't work in my previous examples, but we can try to actually build that now. So in this directory, there's a configuration already. So let's try go build. But there is a problem. Let me see. It didn't create a main package. It doesn't create it for some reason. So it's a good example to play around a little bit. And if it does not, I mean, oh, it does. Now it's a little bit confused. But I can press like enter and can just continue typing as I was before. And as you can see in the background, there's a code suggestion. Or there was a code suggestion. I was too fast. Let's try it again. We can trigger it again. Press tab to accept it. And there we have the main package defined. If we have been in another file, which would be a library, the package would, for example, be array or something else. So this is a great example. Let's try again if we can build it. And it says undefined meta version 1, which is can actually should be able to to just use command click on this on the file on the location. Okay, this is taking a little longer than actually expected. Where are we? We need to fix meta version 1. I think I remember that we need to override something specific here. Let me see for a moment. We don't need to override something. We are missing an import. And this needs to be meta 1. Depends. Can we now it doesn't do anything. So we don't get any code suggestions here. But what we also can do, say import missing dependencies. Oh, no, it doesn't do what I want. So if this happens, it can also be a strategy saying, okay, deleting the entire scope here. Presumably I have added it into Git already. Import all required packages. Pressing followed by enter. And I can see that the icon is doing something. And it imports that. But for some reason the syntax is incorrect. We can also fix that just by going here and doing a little bit of that. What would also be possible is like selecting that and using asking GitLab do a chat what to do. But for now, let's go back into the terminal, try to build it again. It says meta 1 is imported but not used. And I do remember that you need to override that into meta version 1. And there's a trick to like generate that. Let's quickly try that out. We'll build again. And oh, it actually works. Amazing. But let's try to execute the generated binary. And oh yeah, I have 22 ports and 9 services. That's amazing. What I can also do is I'm not sure exactly which configuration it's currently using, but I would assume a default context and a namespace default. So what an additional prompt can be, and this is probably just too good to not being saved. Let's quickly turn this off. again, and let's do that on the terminal. Copy main.go, saved. Let's go. Just for later, because one thing you will probably learn or practice using code suggestion is you can always start from scratch, refine the prompt and say, well, we want to read that, we want to inspect that, but we also need create Kubernetes context and a namespace, which should be default, and then see whether you get better suggestions. On the side, it's also possible to say, if you need to get started with Go and where to put things, ask GitLab Duo chat. We can see we are still getting similar suggestions. So it presumably knows the context right now in the open file. But we can try to. So I'm pressing this one again. Was a mistake, but now we can see my keystrokes again. The goal is really to not write a single line of code, or at least not too much, and use refined prompts with GitLab Duo code suggestions. So in Golang, this works pretty well. You can see also on the left-hand side, I have a couple of directories for different programming languages here, which I've been testing for a blog post where this video will be embedded into. But yeah, let's see if this works again. I'm not sure if it will work again because of the override, but we can see a change of the added context. And let's see, can build it again. No, it's for some reason it doesn't remember that. But if we start typing it, we get nearly autocomplete for the package. Yeah, and then here's the problem. Main redeclared in this block. Oh, interesting. What did we do? Package main, function main. We need an additional import. We could also go ahead and say, copy this one and ask GitLab Duo chat, please explain the Go compiler error, and then copy paste. And then see whether we can get additional help. Okay. Okay, in this scope, Duo chat doesn't have access to the source code, but what I can do here is press Command A, select everything, and then use /refactor into a working example. Can be a refined prompt, but you can also just use /refactor as an example, which can be helpful to get even better suggestions, because like nobody's perfect, and it takes a little while because it's streaming in the background, but I can see there's a lot of code being generated, which I think is a good idea to make this a little bit bigger. And the great thing is it already tries to implement best practices by using functions. So we could, for example, just go with that. Also because functions are great because you can test them later on. You still need some sort of like mocked environment with Kubernetes, with the Kubernetes API. But it's also a great way to use that. We can like press copy, and we have the package main here. So yeah, could be another good strategy to say writing code, even if it's not working yet or not even compiling or like building, and then asking GitLab Duo chat or GitLab Duo in general how to refactor that into a working version. Because one of my development patterns is to write the algorithm top down, implement function stubs, so not implement that, but just use them and implement them later on. And having AI assisted help with that makes it even more efficient. Print containers. And typically we should get, yeah, a function. Okay, this is a great start. Great, a function to print containers. So refining the scope once again. Collect and print out. So we can like continue writing multi-line. If we decide, hey, the suggestions are not great, we can also like stop that and change it again. But here I can see like the entire function is being generated and I don't even need to like understand it or look into it. So what I can do now is, oh yeah, here's the default namespace. So a to-do could be to add command line parameters and refactor that. So here we don't need to do anything. GitLab Duo already knows it. From the context, we want to call the function. We just press tab, accept it, and hopefully we're good to go with the build. Yes. So we have one pod, two services, and one container in the default default namespace. Could also say, well, if there's just one, remove the S and so on. So some formatting fixes and so on. But this is more like I think beautification. And we could also like use refactor. What we can do, and what I didn't explain earlier, is can either right click here and say GitLab Duo chat explain selected source code. So also like a keyboard command shortcut in Visual Studio Code available, or you can also navigate into the chat prompt and say explain and let GitLab Duo chat find an explanation for the source code. And with Go, this works pretty well. So you see it in an instant. Like it doesn't really think that much, but it generates a lot of insightful context. Sometimes it might also be a little repetitive in things, but you need to try it out. You can refine the prompt and say refactor, focus on the Kubernetes API objects. Or focus on algorithm, focus on specific performance problems or potential security vulnerabilities or anything which comes to mind you probably never thought of, but you have been debugging your life in, or you have been debugging plenty of time in the past. You can ask it, and you can like use some preemptive evaluation whether the code changes make sense, or maybe there's something else to consider. And GitLab Duo isn't perfect. So trust your instincts on whether you accept the suggestions, but they can be super helpful. And when you read the blog post, you will also know you need to add security scanning, SAST, and secret scanning and whatnot, because generated code is similar to like human written code, can contain errors, introduce bugs, vulnerabilities. And it's also key to have code quality, test coverage checks, even like unit tests, static tests, runtime tests, observability. Basically, everything comes together on a DevSecOps platform. So you can take advantage of AI efficiencies, but also need to have everything else in place for efficient DevSecOps workflows. So anyhow, it's late and the video is taking a little bit longer. I'll leave you with that, and probably maybe I should update the blog post or create a merge request somehow in order to show you what's possible. You can also replicate that with different libraries, with different integrations. Just think of something which is exciting, which is relevant to your workspace, and which also helps you get more efficient. Be it a small CLI tool, a web application, learning a new language, diving into new worlds of like refactoring C++ code into Rust, which is also possible using GitLab Duo Chat, or something else. So I hope you enjoy reading the blog post and also the short summary. Keep on practicing the different cursor navigations and backspace and refining the prompt and so on. That being said, thanks for the attention, and see you next time.